We're about halfway through the draft already. Vox Nihili taking
Wow.
first pick. They banned out Falstad, make any great again responded with Zagara as expected.
Okay.
Li Ming picked up for the poke on the tributes, and then Lunara, Brightwing, threatening, I think, the Ariel there, or denying that synergy, which is a good decision. But Muradin, Ariel picked up to deny. Very good response from Vox Nihili. They're on the ball here. They know what they're doing. And then Kerrigan banned out to deny the initiation with the follow-up stun from Muradin. Tychus banned out to make sure that there's no counters to Muradin, because Muradin's just a very difficult hero to deal with, especially once he picks up 13. Healing static makes him basically immortal. And making a grid again, locking down Thrall for the solo lane and Johanna for the wave clear, as well as their tanking option. Now we're all caught up.
We've done it. We did it, Reddit. I'm somewhat surprised to see the early prioritization on Lunar. Never trust a big button to smile like girl is poison. She's strong. I mean, you just don't see her that early. I'm wondering if that's going to be a shift in the competitive mindset.
It's interesting. I think Ariel is so strong with Lunara that you have to ban her, pick her up early. She's okay on her own. And she's never bad. Lunara's like never a bad pickup. She's one of the best sustained damage dealers in the game. You do need to make sure, I think, you pair her with a very strong mage hero so that you actually have some finishing potential. Lunara will get people low, but doesn't usually get the kill. And then locking in the Brightwing denies the ability to take Brightwing away, and Brightwing's one of the best ways of dealing with Lunara. But Arthas, Arthas going to be picked up. Arthas is very strong on Cursed Hollow because Arthas has very little engage potential, but any fight that comes to him, as all the tribute fights do, he is exceptionally strong. He's almost impossible to kill with that Army of the Dead heroic. And a double tank with Ariel, that empathic link. Arthas is one of the highest damaging tanks in the game, one of the top 4. So you have an Arthas with empathic link, you put the crown on him, you switch to Li Ming every time she throws out her big orb, and you end up getting a lot of hope generated. And I have to see what they go for. They're going for the Lily to patch any potential gaps in Ariel's healing because of the low damage, and the blinds will do a lot of work to mitigate Lunara's damage and Thrall, and make Enegridigan needs a mage here. It can be Kael'thas, it could be Jaina. There's arguments for both. There's arguments even, for Chromie, but they need to pick up a mage here to deal with that level of sustain.
In 2 minutes, Cavalier, make sure you go look at the stream and see my reaction to that Lily hover and selection. I have 2 comments about this. So, Cavalier, as you know, there's a guy that's out there. He said secondary support Lily's sleeper OP. And this guy's been saying that for months. For months! But the other thing is, you saw the Tychus ban in the second phase. Ariel was picked up before going into that. For these last 2 slots, I thought we were going to see Cho'Gall.
I mean, Cho'Gall would have been good, to be honest, but I think statistically, Cursed Hollow is one of his worst maps. It's very difficult to get it's very difficult to get out-rotated on Cursed Hollow. And even if you go to the tribute fights and win the tribute fights, if there's one hero on the team that's good at split pushing, good at pushing a lane in really hard, like say a Brightwing, you can end up winning the tributes, the first 2 tributes, but losing the race to 10, and then the team that wins the race to 10 can snowball. And Cho'Gall that's behind in levels is usually in trouble. That's why we don't see him picked up on bigger maps like this usually. But I was an option. And I don't think Manic and Egrid again was afraid of that. And they do end up locking in the Kael'thas. They needed that burst potential. They're going to have enough spread damage also to strain the Ariel. This is going to force the Vox Nihili to stay spread out because of the threat of Chain Bomb. That's something we've talked about a lot. Also, Johanna is the best tank for Kael'thas because of the synergy between Condemn and Living Bomb. It forces that spread. Mega Negri has actually ended up with a really strong composition, and it's going to be a very close game if both teams execute well.
It's kind of like a war of concepts here. Ariel and Lily both lend themselves to more staying close together in Jug of 1,000 Cups. That's the heroic that we're going to see in Ariel's healing in general. Also, when you have a double front line to consider, there stands to be a good amount of value out of the Fire Mage. We don't see him too often in the meta, but in this immediate case, I think he's a very strong selection here. But the Lily blinds could be a thing. That's going to take some of the fangs out of Make North America Great Again's composition quite a bit. You blind Thrall at the right time, that combo's not going to show up. You blind Lunar at the right time, that's a lot of her damage out the window. So I feel like Kael'thas is going to have to be the star of the show for Make North America Great Again. He's going to have a huge impact to get through this double support setup in Ariel and Nihili.
Oh, wow.
What happened?
No, I'm reading lobby chat.
You saw it.
I had not yet tabbed back in.
Hey, I was happy to see Lily. What can I say? But yeah, I agree with you about Cho'Gall on Cursed Hollow. That's a dicey prospect.
Oh, but if it had been any other map, I would have wanted to see the Cho'Gall. But in my mind, it was not even an option for them mostly because of that bribing. The global, whenever you have a global soak hero on Cursed Hollow, you got to make sure you can have strong rotations, and being a body down makes rotations so much harder. So much harder.
Yeah, they would have been up on. That's a high wire act. You lose rotations like that in Cursed Hollow, you could have a bad time. You think we're gonna see Thorn with Vines or Leaping Strike from Lunar?
I feel like they want to go Leaping Strike. I feel like they want to just erase that Li Ming in particular, especially with Choking Pollen at 16. We saw it happen a lot in the previous set. And it is a great way of dealing with her. But with Aegis and possibly even with Cups and Blinds coming out from the Lily, I don't think it's going to work as well. But I don't think they're going to be able. Thornwood Vines will be able to out damage the sustain of Ariel plus Lily. So it's kind of a damned if you do and damned if you don't situation. They might commit. I think they're going to commit to the Leaping Strike and try and erase the Li Ming at the start of every team fight. I think that's going to be part of their strategy. Even just having that threat will force Li Ming to play more conservatively, which makes it harder for her to position to get full value out of her W's and her Q's. And in some cases, if you can take an option that you never use just to force someone to play more conservatively, so they don't overstep, that's a win in and of itself. It's just like forcing people to hold cooldowns, interrupt mosh pit. Even if you never mosh, the threat of mosh has forced people to play differently around you. And if you can shape the way the enemy team is going to play, it gives you fewer things that you have to worry about.
Yeah, that's why I call you Socrates, man. I personally would probably go for Leaping Strike. What the deciding vote for me would be Stormbolt for Murden. If the Murden player on the side of Vox Nihili is slapping me in the face consistently enough with Stormbolt, I'm going Thornwood Vine, because if I Leaping Strike in once, the main thing I'm worried about is catching a Stormbolt, because if that happens, the follow-up from the root and the Detainment Strike, I'm not making it back.
No, absolutely not.
But if I can avoid that, I don't think the Detainment Strike, like, Ariel's Detainment Strike after one Leaping Strike, if that hits, I'm like, all right, man, you earned that one. The root has enough of a delay to where I feel like I can just hit R again and get away. So my eyes would be on the Stormbolts, because if I catch enough of those, it's like, I'm just hanging back, I'm throwing these vines out.
And poke is always valuable on Cursed Hollow, just because of the nature of tribute fights. You don't tend to hard commit to them. They have limited dive outside of Sunder. Johanna not really a dive tank. So, I mean, if they did end up opting for Leaping Strike, Lunara would be almost the only dive available. I don't know. We're going to see how these fights play out, how consistent Lunara can be with stacking her damage. It's going to be a very tight game.
We're loading in this bad boy now, and I got a chance to glimpse that Lily skin. Hosties made a fan this afternoon, because I was happy to see that one. The ninja skin. Shadow Paw Lily, Mortal Kombat. He's already shaking his When
I first saw that skin previewed, I was like 10 seconds into the video, I was like, is Cups going to be a teapot? Cups was a teapot.
That's fair.
And I was pretty happy, to be honest. But I never buy skins. One time my stream bought a skin for me, and it's a pretty good skin. It's the Azanug skin. But I was tempted to buy that Lily skin.
Oh, I felt obliged to do it. But here we go. Game 1 in this best-of-3 set. Bloodlust tournament lives on the line. You're going to have Vox Nihili on the left. Hosties playing Li Ming with Savvy Shadow Paw Lily skin. Goats on Li Ming. Zeus is playing Murden. Daihu's playing Arthas. And Yoda is on Ariel.
Indeed. And for Make NA Great Again, we do have Diamond Neil on Lunara, Plebjo on Brightwing, Super Boss Guy on Thrall, Aloe on Kael'thas, and Whales on Johanna.
A difference in mindset here. You can have all 5 members of Make North America Great Again hanging out mid while there's a split effort already out of the gate for Vox Nihili. They've really invested in this we want a tower right out of the beginning sort of strategy. They've done this every time we've seen them this afternoon.
They have, and it's something, especially on these big maps, you see Lili hiding in the bot lane. They're not only doing it for that tower, they're doing it consistently to deny the soak and hope the entire enemy team rotates up to deal with it, which means they're going to miss that first wave bottom. But Wales, onto their scheme, Wales rotates to the bot lane, has that Knight Takes, or does not have Knight Takes, has Regeneration Master, so not going to be able to clear the wave, but is going to be able to soak the wave very effectively. And we have, that's another game without Knights Upon. We do see Ariel picking up Searing Light at level 1, doing even more damage. It's going to also give her hope back a little bit faster, which is going to be a little bit more isolated and self-rooted. Ooh, Kael'thas going down the top lane, losing the 3v3, getting absolutely erased. And that's why you don't engage into an Arthas, because he can't get you if you're far enough away. But if you're right on top of an Arthas, he is going to wreck you. And full Flame Strike build coming out for KT, so that's one reset on his convection stacks.
How about that burst, though? Diamond Neil almost found out. Bambi's going to have to hearth their way back home. Tower already out of ammo in the top lane. A lot of pressure applied here. Yoda's going to get that hope up thanks to Goat and the Burger King crown. Aloe applies the Flame Strike. Just misses the gravity lapse. Yoda's going to be okay, though. He's going to hang out in the bush. Just avoid that Flame Strike. Almost got sniffed out by the root. That's a little cheeky to think he's going to hearth back there.
Indeed, it was. But the bottom wall, or top wall, excuse me, almost completely gone. And 4 going to be picked up here momentarily off the back of that. And Hosty on Lili in the bottom lane, bullying Wales out of lane. Normally, you don't see Johanna get completely bullied out of a lane. But in this case, without Knight Takes Pawn, she actually can't clear the wave fast enough to deal with this Lili harass. And Lili actually one of the most aggressive solo laners in the game. Normally we don't see it because we usually see Lili as a solo support, but as a duo support composition, Lili can solo lane and bully people out of lane. And it's rewarding to see this in a competitive game.
I mean, Wales actually hangs out long enough and dies. It's almost like secondary support Lili is sleeper OP. This comes in at a terrible time for the members of Make North America Great Again, because Hosty, after getting the second takedown of the game, you're going to be able to pick up this tribute. That's how you start to snowball games. Wales has to hang back.
Taking a quick look at the stats, almost 7k hero damage so far for Lili. That puts her 2k over anyone else in the game right now. And Lili, ladies and gentlemen, does a lot of damage, has a lot of sustain, has reasonable wave clear, especially after the level 4 and 7 talents are picked up. And in summary, is terrifying, and you should be afraid of her.
You know, Wales is, because now Wales is in the top lane. He's like, guys, I don't even want to deal with this Lili anymore. I mean, did the PTR patch come live? Because I'm still confused about this lack of Knight Takes Pawn. Look, Hosty is 1v2ing Brightwing and Lunara holding their own. Lili's a beast.
Indeed. And Hosty playing very conservatively. Brightwing versus Lili. Actually, this is another matchup that Lili wins. There's actually not a lot of heroes that can kill a Brightwing fast enough in lane to out-sustain or out-damage her sustain just from her trade. But Lili is one of them with this style of build. And Club Joe going to have to back off, Hearth all the way back, Tribute spawning in the top lane. And Daehu channeling the objective is going to get zoned out by Diamond Neil. Yoda going to have to wrap around, is getting completely zoned out. Daehu's just mounting up, waiting. Realize he's going to have to poke until his team can rotate around. But Lili's staying in the bottom lane and just getting that soak. If they can delay this, especially since they're already in the experience lead, they will get 10 before the next tribute spawns, and they can invade the next tribute that's guaranteed to spawn on the other side of the map, which is a net win for them, honestly. That's if they lose this tribute, but it's not going to happen. It looks like Daehu is going to take down Brightwing and going to get out of there. Zeus with the peel. Diamond Neil extremely low, is going to have to back off. Super Boss Guy as well, getting 175 health after that orb. Leeming with the chase, misses her Q and the orb. Super Boss Guy with the jukes, but Zeus takes the tribute, and they're going to get 2 tributes and level 10 and all this push in the bot lane before the next tribute spawns. Everything is going Vox Nihili's favor right now.
I mean, Super Boss Guy, he can get you to Juke City. That was an impressive way to avoid the magic missiles and the orbs. But this has to be somewhat devastating for the members of Make North America Great Again. That was a prolonged 4v5 that they lost up there in the top left corner of the map. Hosty has been half specialist down here, further proving the point that guy's made that I've heard about Lily being secondary, sleeper OP, man. Heroic should be here by the next time the tribute shows up for Vox Nihili. This would be cursed tribute to the Detainment Strike. Just misses Pleb Joe. He's going to try to teleport out of here. No stuns to say otherwise. Jukes over to Ala. Gets away.
And these laning arrangements so constantly awkward for both teams. We do have Murden versus Lunara. You can't poke a Lunara out of lane as Murden. You're just going to keep eating that damage. Thankfully, he can back off, use his straight, use the towers. Thrall gets picked off on the rotation. Oh, wow.
Dude, Hosty is bodying the members of Make North America Great Again. He had no health, and he's like, on Lily, he turned into that fight with no health, actually engaging with the Water Dragon Elemental. The rotation is there from the rest of the teammates. Hosty is looking like an outright savage on Lily right now.
And we've seen the EU team start to do this strictly as a counter to Illidan, going Lily just for the blinds and the additional damage there. We have I think it was a 7-minute game from Fnatic on Battlefield of Eternity with Lily. They won all the Immortals because blinds plus race plus damage against the Illidan. But not even 10 picked up. I don't know why they're contesting this tribute. There's no way. They actually managed to pick off Goat with the poke from Diamond Neil, and looks like Vox Nihili was a little too greedy, not rotating their full team up. They didn't expect them to come in because they weren't level 10, but only having 3 people here, even not having their heroics, they ended up winning the 3v2, and one more kill or two, and they should be able to get heroics, but Army of the Dead is popped. Die, who's not going to die, takes down Thrall with the chase, and lots of chain bomb spreading. Hosty barely lives. Got the heal to top himself off, but he lived before that even happened, but walks into the Flame Strike. Kael'thas starting to get value. This is exactly what you need versus an Ariel, is to spread damage, and they're doing it. They're showing us how to counter Ariel. People have been wondering all day yesterday and all day today, how do you deal with Ariel? And the answer is a hero that got nerfed, people kind of forgot about for a little while. The answer is Kael'thas, ladies and gentlemen.
A little bit of greed on the side of Vox Nihili over that whole progression of events. Just staggered themselves out. They were a little bit split, especially at the early progression. You saw Ling Ming go down, and that was a rolling cascade effect. Gave the heroics over to Make North America Great Again and a tribute. Diamond Neil did go for Leaping Strike. Zeus can leap as well. Look at these jukes, though. Is he getting away? The Disintegrate has a thing or two to say about that. Can the Stormbolt come up in time? The Dwarf Toss? I'm invested now. The Detainment Strike just... Diamond Neil actually gets away.
Ooh. And that's honestly a benefit of the Leaping Strike that we don't talk about, is defensively. If you get collapsed upon, you can get away with things. Whales interrupting with the flashlight, gonna get that first interrupt. Phoenix coming down, not on top of the tribute though, so they could actually just channel this. They opt not to. Emerald Wind into a huge Sunder. Zeus has to pop Avatar just to survive. Pleb Joe eats a full Li Ming combo, however. Needs to make sure that does not happen again. Another huge Li Ming combo. Triumvirate getting so much value, but Arthas ends up going down. Did not have Army of the Dead enough, and Aloe so low. The resets are real. Johanna ends up going down, but if they can get Hosty here, nope. Hosty with that fast speed is going to be able to get out of here, and Zeus channels the tribute, gets the curse, and 1-for-1 win the tribute. Siege pushing bottom is going to help defend that curse significantly, though, and all they have to do is make sure that they don't take too much damage here. They continue to brawl. If they can get another pick here, defending this curse will be very easy, but Brightwing ends up being the one to fall. Resets on Li Ming, gets Thrall as well. Diamond Neil again with the jukes. Nope, not this time.
I mean, these are some scrappy team fights. Make North America Great Again. They could have, in theory, come away with that win. That was not a handy victory for Vox Nihili at all. They do come out victorious, though. It gets the first curse of the game. They already got the bottom 4 earlier. The top one's going to go down thanks to this push. Focus is now on middle. That one's going to go down. All 3 keeps in the possession of Vox Nihili. All 3 keeps knocked down on the side of Make North America Great Again, giving them the experience advantage.
Ooh, that's a huge root. Followed by the Leaning combo. Emerald Wind comes down for the disengage, but Kale Possum's going on anyway. But he's already finished his convection quest, so no resets there. They didn't want to fight that, but they were just a little too far forward considering the fact that their fort was not actually alive, and well, it was stunned by the curse. And if they can take an even Talontier fight, they have a chance of coming back, especially with the scaling on Lunara, as long as they don't fall too far behind. The major problem is the lack of a wave clear from Johanna. Not taking Nightingale Spawn level 1 means that when the wave clear heroes like KT are dead, it's very difficult for them to push out their lanes.
I'm telling you, Cavalier, the Thug Life chose Lily. Lily did not choose the Thug Life. Like, once that Water Elemental Dragon goes down on somebody, it's just like, you're done. These orb follow-ups, the burst damage with the shish kebab, it's terrifying. Kael'Thas's positioning, he's going to have to tighten up. He's going to have to hang further back behind Johanna because anytime they catch him with that slow from the dragon, it's lights out.
Indeed. And if they can get to level 20, he'll be able to hang back basically as far as he wants with Master Flamethrower, that new, or re-implemented talent, I should say. But they're going to have a struggle, a little bit of a struggle getting to 20 at this point in the game. And both teams actually going for Boss at this point. We do see Zeus rotating up, trying to deny and delay. Boss already capped for Vox, only halfway dead. If Zeus can delay this, they could get a double Boss. Hopefully they don't get distracted. Hopefully they focus on the Boss. Zeus trying to slow down the damage as much as he can, focusing Diamond Neil. They're getting distracted. The rotation is real, and the Disintegrate actually going to help finish the boss off. The Sunder and the Emerald Wind come down for the guarantee, but now they're fighting on the cap point without the boss. But the boss already cap goat is so low. Aegis does come down in time for the save. Brawl and KT both going down, as is Bribing. That is 4 for none. They did get the boss, but that's the only victory that Make Any Greater can come away with there. And Diamond Neil, again, with the jukes, just skipping away.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job of getting on the opposite side of someone so he can leaping strike his way to safety. He does manage to keep himself alive there, but the damage is kind of done. That could have been a huge moment for Make North America Great Again. They picked up the boss, so that was an even talent tier fight at the beginning of it. But once that first death clocks in for Li Ming, she's just like, go time. That was a quickly escalating progression in favor of Vox Nihili.
And Vox's boss getting a lot more value because there was no fort in that lane. He got the entire bottom keep wall, the fountain, a little smidgen of damage on the actual keep. But that keep is now low enough that if they win another team fight convincingly, they should be able to take it out and maybe even end the game, depending on where the fight happens on the map. And opening up that win condition is incredibly important. And Tribute going to go over to Fox as well for free. At this point, Make NA Great Again just is forced to soak. And they're going to struggle to get 20, or get 16 before the next Tribute spawns. And if they don't do that, they're going to have to fight down another Talontier. There are 2 Tributes to go until Vox threatens Curse again. So, but they're going to be in that position. They're going to be in that 2-1 position. And they're going to have to definitively win a fight. And it's going to be very stressful for them. But Vox pushing in, they see the Brightwing soaking in the top lane. They're trying to make this happen while they're up a Talontier. They want to either get the keep or get a fight on their terms right here, right now. They have the sustain from Lily and Ariel to continually push this lane as long as they just wait for the wave, and they're going to be in good shape.
Yeah, I mean, they just hit level 16. They're a full level away from getting on even Talontiers. They've done a really good job in burning down that siege camp, because once I saw the invade there, I was like, they're going to clear the wave, they're going to get the siege camp, they're going to make a play for this bottom keep, and Make North America Great Again is not going to like it because it's going to be down to Talontier. So good job for them on that part. Let's see if they can shake up some of that magic again. Here comes Vox Nihili in the mid lane.
Indeed, and again, having a lot of trouble clearing these waves out quickly without that Nightingale Spawn does get blown up eventually by the KT's Flame Strike, and that is a Phoenix down. Phoenix does have a very short cooldown. Brightwing had just stayed soaking. They would have actually had 16 for this Tribute fight. It is on their side of the map, but they felt like Brightwing had to come back, and they're just going to keep soaking 16. Middle keep wall is down as well. So many vulnerabilities now, and they're so pushed in. Everything but top lane is so pushed in for Make NA Great Again. They just don't know what's going on the map.
They do have the top lane pushed in their favor, but I mean, they have not been able to venture across this map at all this game. All 3 forts still alive and well from Vox Nihili. They're going to go ahead and continue this invasion strategy, and why not? Now that 16 is here, they could theoretically have some issues, but they're going to go ahead and pick up this Bruiser camp, continuing to apply pressure mid. Members of Make North America Great Again are congregating. Do they look to make a play here?
I don't know. We actually see Invigorating Spores picked up over Choking Pollen, not going for that Eraser build, which means we're seeing Leaping Strike picked up here purely as a defensive talent. That's pretty much what Diamond Neal's been using it for all games, so that makes a certain amount of sense. A lot of value out of Fury of the Sunwall here. Gonna be able to keep these waves pushed out by himself pretty much at this point. KT's wave clear effectively doubles at 16 with this Flame Strike build. And they have to contest this, but so much zoning going on. They're so late on the rotation. Yoda is going to be able to channel for free and get this curse. And if this goes the way of the last curse, Vox Nihili will get one, if not more, keeps off of this. Nice stun on the follow-up to deny the save. Lili ends up going down. Brightwing with the Emerald Wind for the disengage. And if they can win a fight here, if they can get an ace and make this curse absolutely valueless, that will be amazing. Or make NA great again, but Whale's so close to going down. Regen Master actually keeping him alive right there. But Plebjo goes down, gives Li Ming resets, and they're going to be on the chase. Everyone is so incredibly low. Alo's going to go down to Li Ming, and that'll be 2 for 1 and counting. Super Boss Guy going down as well. And that's going to be a minimum of a keep. A minimum of a keep for Vox Nihili.
It might very well be, too. If they look to press the issue, they could try to just take one down and go for the game. I think that would be a little aggressive. If they got the kill on Diamond Neal, they might have been able to do it. The orb is negated by the Iron Skin, so Johanna is able to get out of there. Level 20 is going to be around the corner. They got the 2 keeps. Bottom one's in jeopardy now. I think they'd be best served just getting the bottom keep and then rolling back to get their boss and then ending the game.
That is all the structures for Vox. They have nothing left but core. Both bosses are available. Hosty is back alive and well. At this point, they're a little bit low on health and mana. Not like out. Goat's at half, but they could get boss. They could do pretty much whatever they want at this point. One thing to note is that Emerald Wind is an excellent boss steal heroic. Sunder is acceptable as well. So if they go for boss and end up getting a little bit low and getting caught out, they could lose the boss, even if they are up a talent tier advantage. And it looks like Making a Great Again isn't even going to contest, though. They know what's going on, I think, but they just feel like they can't deal with it. And I think this is the game-losing decision. Even sometimes, you never want to fight down a talent tier, but sometimes if you're going to outright lose the game, if you don't fight down a talent tier, then you have to fight down a talent tier because you're going to lose the game if you don't. I think this is one of those situations they should have gone and tried for that boss steal. And Vox Nihili going to, get boss, rotate up, get that boss, push with it, give their catapults more time to work on the lanes so they can force a fight in even more favorable circumstances on 4.
The capture of this second boss is more or less going to seal the fate of this game. I agree, man. I think that Make North America Great Again, it would have been ugly, but they would have been best served just going over there and contesting the boss, even though the lane's getting pushed up. Because once these bosses are picked up, there's just too much pressure that's going to be on these lanes. You pick up one boss without any sort of contest, you go get the other one. Catapults are here in the top lane. The boss will be here before you know it. And Make North America Great Again. They have to pull some magic out.
Oh, the magic might have begun. They kill Goat right at the outset. That is critical. It means that the resets will not happen. Lunara goes down on the chase, however, a little bit overextended to secure that kill. Aloe is very low, is forced to back out. But he's going to go down. Hosty tries to solo him. Does. No, he gets back into his Nexus in time, but Brawl and Brightwing both go down. Boss on core. At this point, it's just a victory lap. 4 for 1. Wales is down as well. That is an ace. Every single lane pushed in, except for the bottom. And that's GG.
GGs are called. Well played by both teams. And I mean that with absolute sincerity. That was a well-played game on both parts. I'm sure that surprised Vox Nihili a few times there. I'm impressed by Make North America Great Again. They were more or less behind the entire time. The takedown count speaks for itself, but they were scrappy in those team fights. They really made Vox Nihili work for it.
They did indeed a surprising amount of damage. I think KT being out of the meta for a month, people forgot how to play around Flame Strike and Chain Bomb. Going to be hard to group up. People have been practicing grouping up, to maximize aerial healing, and then turns out grouping up can be dangerous versus some heroes. Who knew? We do see even in odd talent choice at level 13 from Lunara, Giant Killer picked up. That is going to be, to deal with that double tank. They had a little bit of a lack of slows, so unfair advantage would have gotten that big an advantage. But generally, we don't see that just because Lunara is not considered your typical auto attacker, and just a very different build from what we saw last game. And I don't think it was as effective, considering when you're going Leaping Strike, you're trying to get into that backline and eliminate the squishier targets and not so much focusing on the tanks.
I mean, that would have been pretty terrifying for Vox Nihili because Lunara had the most damage on the side of Make North America Great Again. They had 67,000 damage. Kael'Thas was behind in like 46. So if they did have an even more optimized build, we might be having a different conversation right now. Invited you into the lobby, sent you the draft link. Get you in here. These guys are rolling. They want to move through this. Make North America Great Again's ready. Tomb of the Spider Queen again, like we said. So where we were dealing with a large map, now it's going to be the other way around. It's got to shift the mindset of these draft priorities. Make North America Great Again as first pick, first ban. Again, I just don't see Zagara getting through here one way or the other.
I agree. Zagara, the strongest solo laner in the game right now by a huge margin. And I think we talk about the solo laner a lot, but we don't emphasize why it's so important. When you're doing a 4-man rotation, one of the best ways to come back if you're losing the 4-man rotation is to gank the solo laner. If you can kill the solo laner and you're forced to rotate one person out of your 4-man down to temporarily help that lane, that sets up a situation where you're 4v3 on the 4-man rotation and helps you come back into that fight. But if you're guaranteed to win the bottom lane as long as you play carefully, Zagara, which Zagara is, with the vision from Creep Tumors, with her range, with her movement speed increases, with all of her tools, at this point in the meta, one of the reasons she's getting nerfed and is coming back is because we're pretty much guaranteed to win the solo lane versus anyone as Zagara right now. That means that you're always together as 4. The other team has to beat your 4-man. And if you can't beat the 4-man and you can't beat the Zag, that means you're losing all 3 lanes, and that's not a position you ever want to be in.
Yeah, you concede the early game on a map like this, you're going to have a tough time jumping back into it. Make North America Great Again are trying to take one of the key tools away from Vox Nihili. They ain't like eating those cooldown resets, so they're going to pick up Li Ming first for themselves. Vox Nihili hovering Zul, that would be a great asset to their team, who can effectively soak 2 lanes by themselves. It's going to give their 4-man gank potential all kinds of siege benefits.
Yeah, and one of the things about Zul on this map in particular is we talked about being behind in the 4-man rotation. Since Zul spawns Skeleton when he clears the wave, you're always behind in the 4-man rotation because either you clear the wave at the same time, but Zul's Skeletons continue to push, or you wait until Zul clears the wave so you can clear the Skeletons, but then you're automatically behind because you're still clearing the wave that he's already finished with. The only way to beat Zul in lane, especially on a map like Tomb of the Spider Queen, where you're doing these rotations, is to kill him. In order to kill him, you need to have the pick potential. We should see Make NA Great Again pick up Kerrigan right here. If they don't pick up Kerrigan right here, Vox Nihili will either take or ban it in the next round. And that Zul is going to be immortal as long as the tank peels for him, which, of course, Vox Nihili has a very strong tank player who's been peeling consistently all day. I don't think that'll be an issue. And you're conceding 2 lanes now if you don't have that kill potential on Zul. Falstad picked up, though. They're going to go for double range in their first 2 picks. This is going to leave the rest of their draft very inflexible in terms of responding to what Vox Nihili is going to be picking up.
Yeah, I mean, Kerrigan's not available to them. Make North America Great Again boxed themselves out of that in the first round ban phase. I feel like the best choice for them in this moment
I didn't even see
would
that
be, yeah. They're hovering Kerosene.
Wow.
I feel like you got to go for Eats.
They banned Kerrigan and left Zul on the map. Oh, you can't do that. I didn't even see that ban. Wow, you can't do that. That is a huge mistake. Oh man, Making it Great is going to get destroyed on this map.
You have to ban ETC here, right?
I mean, Tychus banned out by Vox Nihili, so they're going to go double tank of some kind, I think, to maximize the Ariel value. They're going to have a triple front line. They might even go Cho'Gall. Cho'Gall is a real threat right now, and then their last pick will be their solo laner.
Maybe that's why they got the Kerosene pickup.
Maybe, but I mean, Kerosene 7-sided strike can help you versus Cho'Gall, but you got to be so patient with it because you got to wait for the molten block. Making it Great Again, though, banning that Kerrigan and not picking up Zul, I don't. They're in a lot of trouble in this draft.
I don't get it, man. They got 15 seconds in their time pool. They ban out Murden instead. And
Yep. Vox Nihili wins. There's nothing. There's nothing Making Great Again can do at this point. They can pick up Leoric as their tank, which is going to leave them very light on CC. They will not have any stuns if they do that, but they need to do it just this is the only chance they have of pushing Cho'Gall out of lane. with that Drain Hope, and they don't have a strong solo laner. They can pick up Thrall, but that Kerrigan ban, and not picking up Zool. Zool is actually one of the best counters to Cho'Gall as well. Not only is Zool great on this map, but he's one of the best counters to Cho'Gall. He has Backlash at level 1 for percent damage. He has Giant Strikes at 13% damage. He has Amplified damage at 16 for more damage overall. Except for Tychus, he has more percent damage tools in his kit and that are more frequently available than almost any other hero. So by leaving Zool on the map, you open up the possibility that Cho'Gall is going to be unstoppable. And Nazebo locked into Soul. It's something I haven't seen in a long time. Nazebo actually can be very good in the Spider Queen because of his level 1 quest talent. He can stack it up very effectively and become a late game beast. But Medivh. Did Vox Nihili recruit ADRD and I missed it? Is that what's going on here? This is a mad scientist comp. That's what this is.
I'm concerned for making North America great again. For me, I think once that Cho'Gall pick came in, I was like, well, I don't know how this is going to go for them. I think their best bet would have been going for Leoric ETC and then have Falstad solo lane, and you just like try to body Cho'Gall out with Leoric and Power Slide. Especially now that we know that Medivh is in the equation. There's just a profound lack of stuns on the side of Make North America Great Again, where I don't see where they have the opportunity to try to get the upper hand here.
There isn't one. I mean, you're gonna have Entomb into 7-sided plus Gust. That's the dream, right? But Molten Block, once 13 hits, is gonna deny that. Force of Will is gonna deny that. Aegis is gonna deny that. Portals are gonna deny that. There is nothing that Make Any Great Again can do unless Vox Nihili makes a huge mistake to actually kill Cho'Gall. And if there's a hero on the enemy team that literally just can't die, and that hero is capable of 2v5ing an entire team, which Cho'Gall is in many circumstances, you just don't win. You just don't win. In addition to that, they're generally speaking, falling behind in levels is the best way to beat a Cho'Gall. Getting ahead just because of the way scaling works. One of the reasons, the major reason that Blizzard did the scaling changes at the beginning of the year was because once they implemented Cho'Gall as a hero, they're like, oh, our scaling is really wonky. It gives people too big of an advantage if you're ahead. We need to adjust it a little bit because when Cho'Gall was behind, he was losing every single game. When he was ahead, he was winning every single game in their internal testing, and that wasn't acceptable. But it's still true. It's just not as true as it was. And Zool, you'll never be behind with Zool on Tomb of the Spider Queen. You just won't. So
I don't see any advantage for make North America great again. They lose out on wave clear because of Zool. I feel like I would have Medivh solo lane against whoever's going to show up in the solo lane and just queue whoever shows up down there in the face like the entire time, and then so you don't lose the 1v, you don't win the 1v1 there. You don't really win the team fight because Crystal Aegis and Force of Will stands in the gate like everything you could hope to do. I don't know, man. We're going to find out, though. Over on the left side, we do have Vox Nihili. Goat's on Gall. Zeus is on Zool. Daihu's playing Cho. See, I knew I was going to mess up soon. Yoda's on Ariel, and Hosty playing Medivh.
On the right side, the outdrafted team. We have Make NA Great Again. Diamond Neil on Falstad. Super Boss Guy on Leoric. Pleb Joe on Nazebo. A little bit of a roll swap. Aloe on Li Ming. And Wales on Karazim.
And Difer already made the prediction we can go to the next series. I'm wondering if Vox Nihili can make that happen. They have the draft advantage, that's for certain. Goat. Cho'Gall has the Burger King crown. Means Yoda's going to have a field day as far as hope goes. That synergy is real. Zombie Wall goes down. Force of Wall is going to help Hosty back away. W goes down on him. They're continuing to apply pressure. Force of Wall has a short cooldown, though. Oh, no! They actually get him the kill with the long-range orb. They get the counter kill on Li Ming. Cho'Gall is trying to help them out. Zombie Wall actually snares the ogre. Interesting scrap here.
It is worth noting that Nazebo's Zombie Wall was recently changed. It is now terrain. Effects that used to go through it, like Cho'Gall's Q, no longer do. So if they can catch Shogal inside the zombie wall, they have Entomb and zombie wall. They have a lot of options for negating that Aegis Molten Block, save. They might be able to stagger their cooldowns in such a way that it ends up working out for them. It's going to be very close, though. Insight picked up at level 1 for Kharazim. Until that gets stacked up, his healing output will be a little lower. Li Ming actually would have lived in the bottom there if Transcendence had been picked up instead. But once Insight gets going, it is very good at healing multiple targets. And I think with this area of effect damage, Gauls just sort of throws that damage everywhere all the time. Insight might end up being better in the very, very late game.
I mean, for right now, it almost looks like Make North America Great Again are making this work. They had rotated down Falstad and Leoric, got the kill on Zeus. That broke up the whole 1v1 rotation there. He is back to business, though. It's 2 takedowns to 1. Cho'Galls are going to try to get some poke damage. Slight experience lead favoring Make North America Great Again. If they keep this pace, we might have the makings of an upset.
We might indeed, but Zoo's starting to apply this pressure as Zool. He's not even clearing the wave. He's just coming up to stand there so that the wave spawns skeletons while his team clears it, and then he rotates back to bottom, clears that wave, and rotates back around. He's just keeping the skeleton pressure up, being annoying to Super Boss Guy. Gonna root him. Wraithwalk is gonna presumably come down to deny. Very nicely done, but misses the drain hope in the bot lane. Hosty rotating down to deny Diamond Neil's collapse. And again, skeletons, skeletons, skeletons. Leoric being overwhelmed by skeletons is a pretty funny sight to see. He might not be the Skeleton King after all.
We'll find out. I mean, Zul has a thing or two to say about that. Whale's arguably forward. He does have a couple of dashes in his employ if it gets too dicey, but he is at half health. Cho'Gall gets the orb in the back. That does a little bit of damage. Zombie Wall actually is going to force him to step forward. Force of Will goes down. Diamond Neil flies back into position. Those orbs have been really chunking Cho'Gall down. Aloe with this hero doing work.
Yeah, we do see an interesting choice from Nazeebo at level 4, picking up Gathering Power. And this is another one of those sort of snowball talents. If they can secure enough kills to make it really viable, Nazeebo can, in the late game, do a lot of work on this map. Especially, he took that level 1 talent Death Ritual for the stacking. Insight's going to be finished. This is a comp they're hoping to pay off in the very, very late game. And they're just going to try and stay even in the meantime. But Cho'Gall usually wins late game team fights. Make NA great again. I hope they came into this with a clear plan. So, Plebjo solo eating that Dread Orb, and Hosty trying to get the kill with Arcane Rift. Not quite going to happen. And Death's Reach picked up level 4 for Zool, going for that poke style combination, not being aggressive with his clear, just making sure that each wave has the skeletons. They're not trying to be overly aggressive. They're just trying to stay even or ahead in experience, as opposed to a dramatic lead, so that they can get to the late game, and they're depending on their late game comp to carry.
One interesting thing that I just saw that we're going to see the first set of web weavers get picked up for Vox Nihili. The zombie wall went down around the portal. I've never seen that before. So you portal in, you're like, all right, I'm ready to go. Oh wait, I'm trapped in this zombie. Oh, that's a nice little counter, I think.
Yeah, we also seen it with Malfurion's Root. Any ground effectability that you can put in a predictable place that has some persistence over time can do a lot of work versus Portal Medivh. Kael'thas also in that sense with Fury of the Sunwall 16 can start to do quite a bit of damage, but see how this works out. Both teams took up level 7. Turn-in does go over to Vox Nihili, and they're pressuring this top lane really hard while Zool rotates mid and bottom, making sure that they maintain soak in all the lanes. And again, not falling behind at all is critical. They don't want to be behind as a Cho'Gall comp, but with Zool, that's never going to be a problem.
Force of Wall goes down on Hosty. Follow up the Detainment Strike. Actually, I'm pretty sure it's going to save the proverbial bacon of Hosty. Follow-up damage is not going to be there. Magic Missiles just missing Cho'Gall thanks to that portal. Super Boss Guy has 30 gems. He wants to be careful sticking his neck out there for fear of being collapsed. Aloe's going to throw some orbs around. Continuing to apply this pressure in the top lane. The Timing Strike goes down on Whales. He has to start backing away. Aloe's out front brazenly enough, but Cho'Gall and RO is going to back away.
Yeah, worth noting, Hosty picked up level 7 about a minute ago. Already 13 out of 30 for his Master's Touch stacks. He's going to finish that quest very quickly if he keeps that pace up. Gidbin picked up, increasing the duration of Zombie Wall by 33%, which means that trick of putting the Zombie Wall around the portals is going to be even more effective. And Ghastly Reach per Leoric here is going for the additional wave clear, does not want that Paralyzing Rage for the zoning, apparently. And Echo of Heaven picked up as well. Once Karazim finishes his Insight quest, that will give him a ton of additional healing, because W will be up more often. And Zoo's waiting in the bush here, catches Diamond Neil out, gonna barrel roll away. Zoo's just dominating this game, to be honest. He's just rotating and clearing and rotating and clearing and denying rotations and being the most annoying Zool that he knows how to be.
I think in large part you can owe that to Diegoat. They've been focusing on Shogal so much in these team fights, and I'm not at all surprised to see Hosty was already almost halfway done the Master's Touch quest. They keep focusing on him, and Hosty's just been hitting the Q key like at his leisure the entire time. So Zeus is going to get a whole bunch of value. But look at this, Plebjo on the Zebo, trying to get around the corner. Doesn't quite make it.
And that will reset his gathering power stacks. A critical note, every kill you get on the Zebo that resets his stacks like that is more valuable than an average kill. 10 picked up off the back of that as well. We do see Upheaval picked up. We're going to see Upheaval into Polybomb potentially. That could be some great synergy, as well as Mage's Shadow Bolt Volley. And there's some Wombo potential here, as well as the denial of any potential counter initiation with Aegis. This comp is just going to start to steamroll, I think, at this point.
They get the right upheaval. That is a guarantee. Portal, Hosty shows up. Diegoat jumping in there with the Q, eating some damage for his trouble. Has to use the Crystal Aegis. Can they follow with the burst damage? Forcible has a thing or two to say about that. The Ariel Medivh synergy is really keeping this front line alive.
Worth noting that Leoric did not pick up Hopelessness at level 1, so he's having a very hard time keeping his W on Shogal. When he does get it, Shogal just Qs away, and with the increased range talent at level 1, it always breaks the Drain Hope. Okay, maybe he's not deceived. Always breaks the Drain Hope. If Hopelessness was picked up at level 1, it would not be as easy to dodge. So a little bit of a mistake there from Super Boss Guy. Even before Reanimation was effectively nerfed, Hopelessness was the default pick at high level play versus Cho'Gall.
Plebjo has left the game, DC, so we are going to pause the action. Vox Nihili comes away with the win here. They would advance further into day 2, open qualifiers for Bloodlust. I'm surprised thus far at this game, because you in the draft you were like, the moment Cho got picked up, you're like, they lose. Like they just lose. And I mean, they've been somewhat holding their own. It does look like we are about to jump back in here. I think a big part of it is Aloe on Li Ming. His ability to poke and deal a ton of damage has really carried them through a lot of these scraps, skirmishes, and team fights. You're going to see Super Boss Guy catch the Detainment Strike, throwing the Q down, Force of Will getting value. Diamond Neil barrel rolls forward. They want to try to get Medivh between these Force of Will windows. Upheaval only yanks Gary the Gargantuan.
Yeah, a little bit of a miss there on Upheaval, and Entomb and Gus still available. They have the potential here. Divine Palm, by the way, picked up for Karazim over 7-sided strike. They're trying to deny the kill. Plebjo gonna get palmed. Very nicely done there, denying the value from the Shadow Bolt Volley to a degree, but Zoo's gonna get hunted down by Diamond Neil, and without Zool on the map, they might actually have a chance to start pushing these lanes in, and Webweaver's turned in as well. This is critical for making a grid again. Winning that team fight right as they got level 10, getting their first Webweavers is going to depush all their lanes and negate a lot of the work that Zool has done up to this point in terms of making sure those lanes are pushed in.
This is a big moment for them. They got the Webweavers, they get the kill on Zool. They could establish some kind of momentum. Zombie wall goes down. They're going to try to target this mid lane. Cho'Gall cleaning up top, so they have to worry about the flank once he rotates back into position. Tower goes down readily. The other one's going to go down. This middle fort's in jeopardy. The Gargantuan is already back up. You're going to have Yoda trying to get the Hope stacks up. Zeus is over here. Once Cho'Gall rotates in, though, a lot of this aggression is going to go right out the window, I think.
Yeah, they can't really afford to fight directly underneath tower, even with the Webweaver, and we do see Super Boss Guy delaying a little bit and then Wraith walking out for safety. And Plebjo, extremely low on mana. He does get 1% of his mana back per kill with poison. And at 1 Gathering Power stack right now, after his death and then the subsequent team fight where they get that Zool pick off. And if they really want that Gathering Power talent to pay off, they need to make sure that they secure more kills and get it stacked up. It's so difficult with Ariel Medivh to kill anyone at all.
Can you see how far along Nazebo is on the Death Ritual quest?
I can, actually. He is at 103 stacks, 515 bonus health, and 309 bonus mana.
Not too shabby. Bubble Titan, that one's for you. That's for the kid in the back. 63 gems in the pockets, or they were, because the blue web weavers are going to show up for Vox Nihili. They're about to hit level 13 too, so they withstood the pressure and the push from Make North America Great Again, even saving their middle fort. So they're about to come roaring back with a tier advantage. This could become a thing.
In some sense, they just hit Vox Nihili just hit the largest power spike they're going to have. Molten Block means Cho'Gall can play much more aggressively and always be safe. And I don't think this is emphasized enough. Between Aegis and Molten Block and Force of Will is a 5-second cooldown, which means if Cho'Gall gets overextended, you can Force of Will him to deny the damage. Oh, massive fight, nice Entomb going off, but Falstad gets erased right at the beginning by being a little bit overextended. The upheaval just destroys him. Super Boss Guy as well. The portal's going to secure that kill. Hosty and Medivh Yoda and Hosty making sure that kill happens. Daigoat zoning everyone out, getting so much damage. Plebjo's going to live. And that's the late game Nazebo. We get the stacks up. He lives with 219 health, which means his level 1 Quest talent saved him 100%. Aloe as well. The Palm is clutch. The zoning zombie walls deny any potential follow-up. And they only end up losing 2 kills there, but the Web Weavers have been pushing this whole time. Ooh.
I mean,
so close. That could have gone so much worse than it did.
I'm impressed with Whale's ability to land these palms. I mean, that was at the absolute last moment. The technical ability to make North America great again is there, man. I mean, they've really been able to save each other's bacon, but it's been in response to what Vox Nihili has been doing. Vox Nihili has 51 gems in their pockets right now. They're on the verge of hitting another turn-in if they wanted to, and they'll be level 16 not before long. I feel like Make North America Great Again, they're wowing me, but they need to push this even further if they want to try to get ahead.
It would be good for them. We do see Crushing Hope picked up at 13 for the Orc. That will help a little bit with additional damage, although again, without Hopelessness, that does get broken very quickly. Giant Killer picked up for Falstad. He's going for the Mage Stat build. Only picked up Giant Killer, potentially to deal with the Cho'Gall. It won't actually help as much as you might think. The reduced cooldowns on all your abilities adds up to a little bit more damage usually if you don't go Season Marksman and Secret Weapon, that full auto attack build. They wanted to do that. They probably should have changed up the build a little bit. And Illusionist picked up for Li Ming, so she's going to be much safer, have a much greater disengage range. And both teams just sort of wandering around the map. I think that at this point, Vox is like, we're ahead. We can soak 16 and then force a turn in. We can get pressure with the Siege Camp in the bottom lane. Bruisers in the mid. We can just do so much work. If they engage to us, that's fine, but we're not going to take the fight to them until we're 16.
Yeah, that would have been a pretty big mistake in my opinion if they did try to go for a fight on even talent tiers in this situation. They have 64 gems now. With this tier advantage, they could in theory just rotate back and get another turn in, but looks like they're going to try to pick up this Bruiser camp. We'll see if this ends up being a greedy gesture or not. With only level 14, I do not think that Make North America Great Again can do too much about it. Come away with the Bruiser camp. Looks like they're going to get out of here.
Indeed, and Reabsorption picked up now. It's going to give them even more healing as if they didn't have enough healing. Also, Reservoir of Hope. Every full Hope heal from Ariel increases her Hope Reservoir by 75. Combined with Searing Light at level 1, she's actually going to start hitting people for lots of damage. We saw a game in EU qualifier recently where she got up to like 3k, and she was healing for 3k and chunking for people for 30% of that every single time she cast her W. Which is a lot of damage. It's a lot of damage.
I should say so. The Reabsorption talent at level 16, in my opinion, is due for a nerf. I mean, if they do this right, that's effectively a Divine Palm every 5 seconds in terms of health he's going to end up getting back. Super Boss Guy trying to press the issue. The reverse corner pocket with the upheaval into the Entomb almost led to devastating results. Force of Will goes down on Hosty after he jumps for it. Leoric, the first to drop. That's who you want to go down in these situations, though. But you don't want to lose Falstad. Divine Palm is not going to get procced on Plebjo, who subsequently stands to lose his face. Hosty teleports forward. Make sure that happens.
He almost gets away, but he actually gets knocked into his own zombie wall by Daigoat's Q. First keep of the game going down. Webweaver pushing into mid as well. They're going to get the middle keep as well. They might even get the bottom keep with this Webweaver push. All 3 keeps off 1 Webweaver push would be an incredible achievement. Such good timing, such good team fighting. And again, it comes down to the fact that they can stagger those cooldowns. They have Aegis, they have Force of Will, they have Molten Block. There's no point at this point where Cho'Gall's not protected by something in these team fights. They always have the option to lock down so many things, and that will be the third keep. That's almost all the structures down, 18 to 15, and at this point, Vox Nihili just has to decide if they want to try and end the game now, or if they want to back off, get boss, and then end the game with boss. That's a decision point you want to be in. A massive polyball. The Gust again for the disengage, but Plebjo overextended. The portal's allowing them to negate the disengage from Gust. That's 2 free kills. Ala goes down as well.
That's the ball game. Divine Palm. Oh, they almost tried to get the kill. See, now those are style points. Shield drops. 3 members again drop on the side of Make North America Great Again. And Vox Nihili says, like, we will try to make North America great again. We'll do it on your behalf because we're knocking you out of the tournament.